Is a class on the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, 26th Chapter, text number 16, given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, recorded on December 25th, 1974, in Bombay, India.
The influence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is felt in the time factor, which causes fear of death due to the false ego of the deluded soul who has contact with material nature.
Prabhamam paurusam prahu karame kijato vayam ahankaro vinurasya kartut praviti nivsa. So, the time factor is the representation of the Supreme Personality of God. In the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna manifested his Vishwarup, Arjuna became very afraid and inquired, "Who are you?" So at that time Krishna said, "I am Kala. I have appeared to destroy." So Kala is representation, time. We have discussed 25 elements, the 10 Mahabhuta, 5 Mahabhuta, and 5 Sukha Bhuta, 10 senses, 24 internal senses. These 24 elements, and above that, the Kala, time factor. That's all. The Kala is destructive factor. We may have a defy the existence of God. Atheist class of men, demons, they always defy with God, I am God. But everyone is under the control of time factor. The time factor in due course will bring in death. So at that time, how one can deny the existence of God? Mrityu sarva harashta ham. Krishna says that I am death and my business is to take away everything. Mrityu sarva harashta ham. So time factor will take away everything what we create with these 24 elements. So time is very strong, God. However, we may defy the existence of God. The time factor is there. We have to accept it. And it is said, Kalamete jato bhayam. And because we are under the control of the time at the present moment in material existence, therefore there is bhayam. Bhayam means ultimately death. Bhayam. Bhayam dityadi niveshatasya ishadapetasya vipajjaya smriti. The description of bhayam is given in the Bhagavatam. What is this bhayam? Fearfulness. Bhayam ishadapetasya vipajjaya smriti. Those who have forgotten the Supreme Lord and have identified themselves with this material world, for them the fearfulness is there. But those who are not in the material existence, but in the spiritual existence, or spiritual life, or spiritual activities, for them there is no bhayam. Abhayam sattva samsiddhi, in the Bhagavad Gita it is said. Bhayam is there, fearfulness is there, so long our existence is not purified. Then there is bhayam. And when existence is purified, then there is no bhayam, no fearfulness. Just like Prahlad Maharaj was put to so many trials or tribulation by his father, but he was never afraid of. This is the sign of spiritual advancement. Because so long I identify myself with this matter, there will be bhayam. And when I am out of this conception of material existence, when I understand that I am spirit soul, aham brahmasmi, then there is no more bhayam, no fearfulness. Brahma bhuta prasannatma nasochati nakanti. This is the symptom of abhayam. Therefore Krishna's lotus feet is described abhaya charanara bindare vaja hure mana srinanda nandana abhaya charanara bindare. If you take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, which is called abhaya charana, no more bhayam. Bhayam vityavinivesak. When so long we think that I am something of this material existence, there will be bhayam. And when you realize that this material existence is superficial, I have nothing to do with it, asangmayam purusha, I have no connection with it, then there is no bhayam, no fearfulness. So, this kala is past, present and future, trikala. Kala is exhibited in three features, past, present and future. That is in the material existence. And if one becomes above the three kalas, in the eternal time is eternal. But in the material existence, there is past, present and future. In the spiritual existence, there is no past, no future, only present. Only present. Everything afresh, present. Nitya navayamaman, only feelings, new. That is spiritual existence. Anandamadi vardhanam, only present. No future, no past. That we cannot realize now, but we can get the knowledge from Vedic literature. The time factor in the material world, there is past, present and future. Otherwise, time factor is eternal. So, prabhavam purusam prahu karma. So, we have to feel the influence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this time factor. We cannot deny, because in due course of time, according to the time factor, everything will be finished. Everything will be finished. The present existence will be finished. And then we'll have to accept another existence. This is all due to the time. Time is over, then one body is changed into another. So this is the influence of time. Nature is working under the influence of time. And that time factor is enforcing the influence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore it is called Prabhavam Paurusam Kala. This is the influence. You have to abide by the influence of time. That means influence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, you deny that like crazy fellow, they think that have nothing to do with government laws. But the influence of government must be felt when he is arrested and put into the jail. Similarly, by time factor, we may do something now without any fear, but time factor will place me in the fearful condition without any fear. So, ahankara vimurasa. We are now vimura. Now, when we say that is murhas, they become angry. But actually, this is the verdict of the Shastra. So long you are within the time factor, within the material nature, you are vimura. We are all vimura. Ahankara vimurasa, the same thing is expressed in the Bhagavad Gita. Ahankara vimuratma kartaham iti mannate. Nobody is karta. Here, the prakriti is karta. Just like when you are under the influence of some contaminated disease, at that time, that disease infection is karta. You are not karta. That is our practical experience. When you are in high fever, then your so-called mastership is gone. You are under the mastership of the feverish condition. Similarly, we, spirit soul, although we are better in quality than the material element, that is described in the Bhagavad Gita, aparayam itastu viddhime prakritim para. Jiva bhuta. The jiva, living entities, they are in better quality than the material elements, but still, on account of his viparjaya smriti, forgetting God, we are leading a different type of civilization or different type of life. Therefore, we have been subjected to the influence of time. This is Krishna's or God's influence. Just like in the prison life, we are subjected to the rules and regulations of the prison house on account of disobeying the government laws. Similarly, when we are disobedient to the laws of God, at that time we are put into this material existence under the influence of time, and therefore our conditional life is always fearful. Bhayam dityabhinivesatasyat ishadapitya viparjayasmi. Everyone is thinking differently. All living entities. Somebody thinking I am Indian, somebody thinking I am American, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, black, white. So many ways we are thinking. Viparjaya smriti. Our real identity is when we understand that I am not Hindu, not Muslim, not Christian, not American, not Indian, but I am eternal servant of Krishna. Then there is no more fear. That is fear. Bhaja hure manasi nandanandana avaya charana. Therefore, the Vaishnava poet advises that you take to the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, avaya charana ravindas. Just be engaged in the devotional service of the Abhaya Charan, Krishna's, then your existence will be purified and you will have no more fear. Brahma Bhuta Prasanna. This material life, so long we are conscious of this material existence, we are always fearful, full of anxieties. Tassadu manne suravajyadehna sada samudvigna dhyam asat graha. The more we possess asat vastu, asat vastu means the material things, there will be more anxiety. Therefore, according to Gauriya Vaishnava principle, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life and his next disciple, the Goswami's life, is to completely get free from any material position. Vairagya, Vairagya Vidya. This spiritual life, therefore in Bharatvarsha, in India, you will see big kings, they give up their kingdom, their opulent life, wife, children, and become a mendicant, a beggar. Not beggar, but renounced everything. This Bharatvarsha is under the name of Maharaj Bharat. His life is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, how he gave up his wife, children, kingdom, everything, and he lived alone in the forest, Tulastha, Paula Ashram. But still Maya is so strong, he became attached to a small deer, and for that reason he had to wait for his liberation 3 lives. So, the spiritual life is very delicate. We have to conduct the spiritual life very cautious. Little deviation may create great havoc. Great havoc means again material. And material life means suffering. Always in fearfulness. So long we are in this material life, there must be fearfulness. Bhayam ditya abhiniveshatasya. That is described here. Kalamiti jato bhayam. So long you are wrapped up within these 24 elements, under the influence of time factor, then you will have to feel fearfulness. Although actually, by constitutional position, you have no fear. Every one of us we know, not everyone, at least those who are little advanced in understanding Bhagavad Gita and the ABCD of spiritual knowledge, at least theoretically one knows that he is not this body. But still, when the body is in danger, we become fearful. Because we are existing in this material environment. Bhayam ditya viniveshatasya. So, in order to get out of this fearful situation of life, that is material life, if we take shelter at the lotus feet of Abhaya Charanarvindare, Krishna, then this bhayam element, fearfulness element, will be completely nil. So, ahankara vimuratma, katta, our identification, false identification, the 4 subtle senses, man, buddhi, ahankar, chitta, consciousness. So, when the consciousness is materially absorbed, then there is fear. And when the consciousness is pure means Krishna consciousness. I am eternal servant of Krishna. Then there is no fear. The more we advance in Krishna consciousness, no, the more we become free from fearfulness. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj advises, Hityatma ghatam grihayanda kupam vanam gato ja parimasraya. The real position of fearlessness is Harim Asraya. Take shelter of Hari. Hari means who takes away all subjective things of fearfulness. That is Hari. He takes away all our miserable condition of life. Hari. Harimasraya. Tat sadhu manne suravadya dehina sada samvivigna dhyam. Asat graha. We have accepted the asat, these 24 elements, as described before, as identification with me. Asat. They are not permanent, temporary situation, changing one after another. So, asat graha, sada samudvigna dhyam, always full of anxiety. What will happen next? What will happen next? You see even a small insect, birds, beasts, human being, animal, even elephants, tigers, lions, everyone is fearful. There cannot be any fearlessness in this material existence. Even big nations, American nations, they are also fearful of the Russians. And the Russians are fearful of the Americans. You can see. The whole political field, our Indians are fearful of Pakistan, Pakistan is fearful. This is material existence. You cannot avoid it unless you take shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Krishna assures, Aham tva sarvapavi bhavamukhaishyami māsutta. He gives shelter and assurance that don't be afraid of. And you have taken shelter of me, and there is no cause of fear. Samasitaji padapallavam plavam mahat padam punna jaso murari bhavam budhi vatsa padam param padam 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 jad vikodana nati sa. This material world is padam padam vipadam. Only danger. Every step there is danger. That's a fact. So, if we take shelter of that Abhaya Charanaravinda, then we have no fear. This is fact. Abhayam Sattva Samsuddhi. Sattva Samsuddhi. Our existence when it is purified. So, this Bhakti Marga, a devotional service, is the process of purifying. Purifying process. Sinnatang Sakata Krishna Punnat Savana Kirtana Riddantasta Avadrani Vidunati Sui Satam. Satam, those are devotees. They are simply engaged in Krishna consciousness. This Krishna consciousness begins. Sinnatang Sakata Krishna. Simply, these centers are created to give chance to the people in general to hear about Krishna. Sinnatang Sakata Krishna. Because as soon as we hear about Krishna attentively and try to assimilate it, then the purification of the heart begins. Chetadarpanam janam bhava mahadavagni nidvapanam sriya kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadhu jivanam anandam mudivadhanam pratipadam purnamrita swadanam param vijayati Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. So Sri Krishna Sankirtanam is so nice. It has no expenditure, no loss, simply gain. If you kindly hear Sri Krishna Sankirtan, if you cannot chant Sri Krishna, the holy name of Krishna, you are so reluctant, or if you cannot, because to chant Hare Krishna mantra, that also requires little fortune. Ahavato sapachato vigoriyana jajjibhagre namatubham. Anyone who is chanting on the top of his tongue where there is name, holy name, he is Gariyan, Sapachopi. Even though he is born in low-grade family, the dog eaters, it is still Gariyan. Ahavato sapachato vigoriyana jajjibhagre namatubham. So, in this Kali Yuga, if you simply chant, we cannot chant because that requires little fortune. If we simply hear, that will also help us. So these centers are meant for chanting and hearing about Krishna. Simply this process, chanting and hearing, will purify our existence. Sinnatang sakata Krishna punna savanati. It will increase piety of life. Punna savanati. Anyone who is hearing and one who is chanting, both of them. Savanati. This is the beginning. So, Sinnatang sakata Krishna punna savanati. We become purified. This is purificatory process. Sarvapadhi vinirmuttam tatparatena nirmalam. Nirmalam means purification. On account of impure life, we are embarrassed with so many designations. Impure life. So we have to become designation-less. No designation. Sarvapadhi. I am not Hindu, I am not Muslim, I am not Christian, I am not Brahman. This is designation. Even sannyasi Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, therefore, Naham Vipra Nachanarabhati in Jyotidva. He described himself, no, I am not Kshatriya, I am not Brahman, I am not sannyasi, I am not Grihastha, I am not Vaishya, simply negation. He simply said, Gopi Bhattu Padakamaru, Dasada, Samada. I am the servant of you. Gopi Bhattu, the maintainer of the gopis, Krishna. So that is pure life. When you think like that we are no more servant, Nayam Kinkara, that is, what is called, indemnifying this contaminated existence and material life. Simply identify as servant of the Supreme Lord, then you become purified, designationless. Sarvapadhi vinirmuttam tatparatena nirmalam rishikena rishikesa sevanam bhakti richa. Bhakti means when you are designationless, purified in Krishna consciousness. Then when your senses are purified, the senses are no more material. In our contaminated state, our senses are acting in designation. I am Indian, I have to work for India. The others must go out of India. Or others are thinking, now your visa is finished, now you can go out, you cannot stay here. This is all due to designation. But real life is designation, less. The United Nations is working, but they are not working on the platform of becoming designationless. They want to keep the designation. They are struggling there to become united for the last 20 years. And we have seen in New York, the United Nations Center, only the flags are increased. Because unless one becomes designation-less, no designation, there cannot be any unity. Unity is possible on the spiritual platform, not in the material platform. Material platform means I am envious of you, you are envious of me. Matsarata. Matsarata means Matsarata para utkarsha asahanam. When I cannot tolerate others increasing in opulence, I become envious. This is material life. The spiritual life is different. The spiritual life means if somebody has advanced in spiritual life and somebody, when he is still in the neophyte state, he will eulogize how fortunate he is. He has advanced, he is serving Krishna in such a nice way. When I can get that position, there is no enviousness. That is glorified. That is the distinction between material life and spiritual life. Spiritual life means enviousness. How to kill you, how to stop you. But spiritual life means to see you advancing, one becomes happy. Oh, how fortunate he is. This is spiritual life. Therefore, spiritual life is meant for a person who is completely not envious. That is spiritual life. Parama nirmatsananam satam vastava vastu vedamatra dharma projita koitavatu. This Bhagavad Dharma is meant for the person Parama nirmatsan, Paramahamsa. Is not envious of anyone. Suhida sarvadehina, we have discussed this word in Kapil Sanka Vilaja. Sadhu is Suhida sarvadehina. Sarvadehina means all living entities in all forms of life. That is called sarvadehina. I am for Indians and not for the Englishman or American. Or I am for the human being and not for the cows and goats. They should be sent to the slaughterhouse. These things are happening on account of no Krishna consciousness. Limited, crippled ideas. And it is going on in the name of philanthropism, nationalism, communism, thisism and that-ism. These isms will not help us unless you come to the platform of Krishnaism. That everything belongs to Krishna. Ishavashamidam sarvam. Practical. If we accept the United Nations is working so hard, but they cannot make that the whole world belongs to all living beings, then immediately it will be, all questions will be solved. I was discussing this evening. There is so much land still uncultivated. And if the overpopulated people are allowed to go there and cultivate and grow their food grains, 10 times of the living entities on this face of the globe can be fed without any difficulty. Annan bhavanti bhutani. So everything is there. But we don't accept. Under designation, we are fighting. That's all. Under designation, under ignorance, we are fighting, we are forgetting Krishna, therefore our miserable condition. Bhaya, fearfulness, bhayam ditya vinivisa. Ishadapeta sab viparjaya smriti. Viparjaya smriti is just opposite, understand. Everything belongs to God. Ishavashamidam sarvam. That's a fact. But I am thinking it is mine. Aham mamayati. Janasya mohoyam aham mamayati. Nothing belongs to us. Everything belongs to Krishna. If we accept Krishna, the center, and you are under his direction, as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, our life is successful. Our whole program is peaceful.